Yeah. Yeah, it's on, but it's just red.
Well, the blank giveaway, I said it wrong. I don't know what I said, but I got it right now.
Grab the. I blame my mother. This one's also red. Now this one's green. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name's Britta. I am the facilitator for tonight's steering committee meeting. The current time is 6:10. We do have a quorum of steering committee members, but our co-leads are missing in action. So we will just start off by doing some logistics, and we will wait to call the official meeting to order until they are here. So welcome again to tonight's steering committee meeting. This meeting is being recorded. It will be available online. And we will start off with some interpretation logistics. Hello, speaking Sadesia, and I will be your in-person Spanish interpreter for tonight's meeting. If you need in-person interpretation services, I will be at the back table and can provide you with a headset to hear the simultaneous language interpretation. We're also providing simultaneous language interpretation services on Zoom. If you need to access an interpreter on Zoom, please join the virtual meeting using Zoom's desktop or mobile app. Then click the interpretation icon, which is a globe, and at the bottom of the window on the desktop or under more button on the mobile, and then choose the desired language. And mute the original audio. Please make sure you're using the latest version of the Zoom application and not the internet browser. Hola, mi nombre es Arecia y seré su intérprete presencial de español para la reunión de esta noche. Si necesita servicios de interpretación en persona, estaré en la mesa del fondo y puedo proveerle unos auriculares para escuchar la interpretación simultánea. También ofrecemos servicios de interpretación simultánea de idiomas en Zoom. Si necesita acceder a un intérprete en Zoom, únase a la reunión virtual utilizando la aplicación de computadora o móvil de Zoom. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, que es un globo terráqueo, en la parte inferior de la ventana en la versión de la computadora y o debajo del botón que dice más en el móvil. Elija el idioma deseado y silencie el audio original. Asegúrese de utilizar la última versión de la aplicación Zoom y no el navegador de Internet. Gracias. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to switch up the order, as I mentioned a little bit, just because we're waiting for the co-leads to get here. So we're going to wait to do roll call. So I'll go over, we'll come back to the welcome and introductions with the roll call. I'll go over some in-person and virtual reminders. So for those of us here in person, if you have a question or comment, please raise your hand, or if you're a steering committee member, tent your name placard upwards. That way I can tell that you have a question or comment. Folks who are attending virtually, please raise your virtual hand. That way we can easily see when your hand is raised. Or if you put your comment in the chat, the Air District staff will be sure to let me know. That way we can observe that comment. For people who are here in person or virtually, if you're not familiar with our order that we run in, we prioritize the steering committee first. So it will go in-person steering committee, then virtual steering committee, then in-person public and virtual public. We do have a dedicated public comment period at the end. And as we are going through voting items, there will also be an opportunity for the public to comment on any voting items. So I will let you know when that happens. That way we can follow that procedure. So some virtual logistics for those of us who are here online.
Please feel free to message the host if you are having any issues. You can also email the clerk for assistance. And I went over these already, but just make sure to raise your virtual hand. That way we can call on you when appropriate. And it doesn't look like we have anyone joining via phone, but those instructions are on screen as well. So this is our charter code of conduct, which is standard. Everyone who's here agrees to abide by the charter. I'm not going to read over everything one by one, but we do have agreements on the screen. If you're unfamiliar, please take some time to read those over. And I think that sums up our agreements and logistics that happen at the beginning. Tito, could you come please sit near me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need to be chatting with you a lot. You're not in trouble. This is for everyone's best interest, so that I don't have to yell across the room.
Sorry, for the snake. Sorry.
You're all good. You're so welcome. We're glad you're here. So the agenda, before I put Tito on the hot seat for some things, you will see on the screen. So as I mentioned, we went a little bit out of order. So now that I went through our logistics and everything, we will go ahead, call the meeting. The co-lead will call the meeting to order, and then we will do roll call. And then we can go over our administrative items, which is the meeting summary, go over some updates. We do have an action item today, and then we will spend the majority of our time, about an hour, in discussion of the public comments that were received on the SERP. We'll then go over the new business and upcoming meeting topics. And we'll have public comments, and then we will adjourn. So now that we have our co-lead here, Tito, he is literally just sitting down, so we might need a moment before I put him on the hot seat for this. But we will be starting with calling the meeting to order and then doing the roll call. So I'm gonna pass it to Janice, and then I'm gonna get Tito up to speed. Thank you for your patience. We will resume our normal programming momentarily.
Yes, thank you, Britta. So, Roberto, had sent his regards. He had something urgent that came up, so he wasn't going to be able to make the first half of this meeting. So we will be here to support all of you, as always. First, what we want to do, is that we want to welcome Tito Huang as our newly elected co-lead for this year. Despite his desire to slowly dip his toes into this conversation and lead this meeting, tonight he is here in person to do all of it. But again, Tito, we're here to support you. And then I really want to just take a moment to recognize Morgan Brown. I know you just stuffed something in your mouth. To thank her for all of the times you worked with us on a co-lead meetings, all the phone calls that you have received from me throughout the entire week in between, and all the guidance that you have provided us during agenda making sessions, as well as facilitating these discussions throughout last year. So from the district, we are really grateful to have your leadership last year, and we continue to look forward to working with you moving forward.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Also, this will be my last in person. I'm not going anywhere. This is my last in-person meeting until
November.
July-ish. Yeah. But thank you.
You get your votes right now.
Yeah, I did too.
All right, with that, I'm gonna pass back to Britta on the next item that we're supposed to do.
Thank you. So like I mentioned, we're gonna jump back. We will do some roll call. And so I am going to pass it to our newly elected co-lead for the first time, just to say hello, introduce himself as if you don't already know him, and then walk through the roll call for today.
Thank you, Brita. I appreciate you.
Hello, everybody. I guess everybody knew I was coming in today, so nobody else showed up. Appreciate that. Bertha was supposed to help transition me, but, I guess he got a baby to change diapers. Anyway, real quick, I appreciate everybody love and support. Been here with you guys since day one. But I feel like I'm in the classroom again, trying to learn new stuff, so bear with me for a minute. It is crazy tax season for me as well, but, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. We gotta take this home. Anyway, let's do roll call. How's that? You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. So if I call your name and you're here, just say present. I guess Brenda will take notes and, all right, we'll do, Alicia Vasquez Caballo. All right, we'll do that without the Spanish accent. Alicia Vasquez Caballo, not here, okay. Anjole Israel. Angelique, hey man, I thought it was Anjole. Angelique Israel, I'm sorry about that. Angelique? And not here. Mr. Barry Ward. Oh, Adoro Arroyo for alternate.
I am here.
All right, hello, Barry. Bishop Chris Baker. Okay, sorry, I apologize. I need to call Adoro Arroyo. Is he here? Okay, no. Chris Baker. Not here. DeAndre Gunn. Here. Thank you. Emma Swan. Not here. Jacob Smalls.
I'm here.
Thank you, Jacob. Jamala Green.
Here.
Thank you, Jamala. Mr. James Ellison.
Present.
Thank you, James. Lori Walker.
I'm here.
Thank you, Lori. Malaya Wallace.
Here.
And I won't say this name for a while. Miss Morgan Brown.
She just took a bite.
Took a bite. Damn, took off on me already. All right, well, okay, thank you, Morgan. Mr. Richard Falcon. Present. Thank you, Richard. Richard Lincoln.
I'm here.
Thank you, Richard. And Ward Mitchell is an alternate. Ward here. All right, Mr. Roberto Rizzo. Okay, coming later. Serena Rodriguez. Okay, thank you. Miss Debbie Williams.
Present.
Thank you, ma'am. Tito Huang is here. Last but not least, Mr. Vincent Valdez. Here. Thank you, Vincent.
Plus one, so
Therefore.
is it, yeah, but is it 8 or 9?
You round up?
No, but for the 13 that we have, for things, for something to pass, it's 13 divided by 2 plus 1. 7, we're in a 7.
Okay, Carmen 7.
Majority is 7.
Majority, yes, thank you.
Breda, it's my first day, you know that, right?
Yeah.
Any public participants to state their names, neighborhood or affiliation?
I don't think I need a mic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's,
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
hi, my name is Jeff Solomon. I am a co-founder of the Meadowview Urban Tree Project and also an officer and on the board of the Meadowview Neighborhood Association.
Thank you, Jeff. Welcome.
Anyone else like to state their name? You don't have to put the record, it's just if you'd like to.
Thank you. I'm Suzanne Sebright Sutherland, California Baptist University, here doing research, and it's just a pleasure to join the group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne.
We have a hand online. Jennifer, please unmute.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jennifer Holden, and I am the Neighborhood Association Leader for the Mengen Park Neighborhood Association, which is within the boundaries of this grant. So happy to be here as usual. Good to see you all.
Thank you. Nick.
Do we have any community events to share? Anyone with any community events, please raise your hand and we'll call on you. Morgan, we're passing you a mic.
Good evening. On April the 19th, Color Block will be hosting their Earth Day celebration, our Beyond the Court and Earth Day celebration at Rainbow Mini Park. On March the 5th, Color the Block will be building their second clean air garden at South Sac Family Resource Center. That will be from 12 to 2. We will be hosting a mini barbecue and groundbreaking. And on April the 22nd, Color the Block will also be co-hosting a science night at Pony Express Elementary.
Sorry. Oh, yes.
Thank you, Morgan. Vince, you have one?
Yes, United Latinos is hosting our Dia de la Tierra event. It's the Semillas del Cambio, which is our Earth Day event right here at La Familia Maple Neighborhood Center, April 11th. And Semillas del Cambio means seeds of change. And so I sure hope we all can spread the news about it. It's gonna be a great event. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. More on that later. Jennifer, is that a new hand? Do you have a community event to share? It's an old hand. It just got put down. Or-
Yes, I'm sorry. That's an old hand. I don't have an event to share at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, any other community events? Morgan, if you could put your name placard down, please. Thank you. Okay, great. So then we can move on to our administrative items. So that will be the approval of the meeting summary. I will pass it to Tito to go over that.
Okay, thank you so much for that. All right, making a motion to approve the draft January, please. January 26th, 2026, please. Morgan makes a motion to approve the summary. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Ms. Lori Taylor. Second motion. Any discussions?
Yeah. Any public comments on the motion to approve? None? All right. We can go ahead and move into a steering committee vote.
You don't have to read the ones that you here. And then put it off. I just want that.
All right, Mr. Barry Boyd. This is the vote to approve the meeting minutes.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Engineer Gunn. Thank you. Jacob Smalls.
Sustain?
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Jamala Green.
Aye.
Jam Ellison.
Yes.
Lori Walker.
Yes.
Malaya Wallace.
Yes.
Morgan Brown.
Yes.
Richard Falcone.
Yes.
Richard Lincoln.
Yes.
Stephanie Williams. Tito Juan, yes. Vincent Valdez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes, 11 vote yes.
Thank you. Okay, so now we can move ahead into updates. We are running just a little bit behind since we had to get started late, so we will be trying to make up that time. So I'm going to pass it to Janice to provide updates for the Air District.
Great. The first update I'm going to provide, and I actually should have done this before roll call, was that M Swan had submitted their resignation earlier today. So just wanted to let folks know that. And he expressed, his gratitude for serving on the steering committee and hopefully be able to in the future be able to work with us again. Okay, so the next slide, please.
I'm sorry, Janice, who was it that submitted their resignation?
Swan.
Dennis Kwong?
No, M.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so the next update that I have, I believe our team had brought up this item last month about a smudge board that we're coordinating for the steering committee. And so we went ahead and worked with SMUD on a couple of dates. What we heard back from the steering committee was that you guys wanted to have it during the day so you could actually see what's there. And then on a weekday. So we worked out Wednesday, April 15th in the afternoon, or Friday. There's still Friday, Tito. Friday, April 17th in the morning. And the reason for having two is because the facility that they have cannot accommodate everybody at one time. So we are asking that when you guys are signing up for any of those dates that we have to split up so that there's a smaller group at each of the days. Okay, so if you are interested in attending, please RSVP and contact the AB 617 clerk either by email or by phone or in person after the meeting today. Morgan, you have a question?
Is there a lot of extensive walking associated with this tour?
There is going to be walking because it's a tour, but there's also a presentation in a certain facility room as well. So if you didn't want to, take a lot of, walking around, I can imagine they can have you in the room where they're hosting the presentation. So if you need accommodations, just let me know. And that's all the updates that the district has.
Great, then we can pass it back to Morgan for an outreach subcommittee update, please.
Okay, so at our last outreach subcommittee meeting, few conversations, a few key points we want to note. So Valley Vision has continued to do the CAG planning meetings. We have launched the request for community ambassadors, so that is live, as well as the RFP for the media, for the website. So that is the designer website, yep, that is live now. As far as the, so one of the other conversations that came up was the recommendation for the sponsorship for the Dia de la Tierra event on April 11th. It's pretty much replicating the sponsorship that we previously recommended at 500. And then during the CAP luncheon, the CERT workshop as well as CERT outreach. We did conduct we had comment periods, and so those comments are under review, which I believe we'll be discussing today. And then as far as upcoming events, we have the Revitalize South Sacramento, which is March 5th. We have the Sweet Potato Festival. Was this me? I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay, the Sweet Potato Festival 7, which does a fee of $75 to $100. We have the Dia de la Tierra event, April the 11th, again with the recommendation of $500 for sponsorship, for the effectiveness and productivity of this event. The Color of the Block Earth Day, April 19th, and the Color of the Block Youth Summit, April the 22nd.
Okay, so this is gonna get passed to Tito to present on the sponsorship for this event, and then there will be a call to vote.
Thank you, Rita. So we've talked about this several times. I think part of the commitment is to do outreach to the community, whether it's mid-autumn or Lunar New Year or the pumpkin and all the events. I know this event is near and dear to Vincent and Richard Falcone's heart. I think part of the commitment is the $500, but I think more importantly is to share with the community, you know, what is this event? And why is it that Janice have a hard time pronouncing it every time? Dia la Tierra. I'm getting there. But Vincent, do you want to just kind of give us a little brief of what it is and how that add value to our, you know, goals and our mission? Thanks.
Okay, sure. My name is Vince, and Dia de la Tierra is our Earth Day event we had 2 years ago, and it was right here at Maple Neighborhood Center. It was a recognition of the community of celebration of Mother Earth, you know, and so in different cultures, things are done differently, and so it turned out to be a really amazing event. We had a lot of speakers. This year, we're planning to have some tree planting workshops. We're gonna have composting workshops. Weather permitting, we're gonna be outside, doing dancing, music, plays, and a lot of resource vendors outside talking about what they're doing in the community to improve the air quality, the living conditions, the environmental justice issues we have going on in this community. And it's an opportunity for this community to participate in what is going on worldwide. And so if you Google Earth Day in different languages, it's everywhere, you know? It's not at Southside Park where they have their event every year. And so we're just doing a little video over here, and we'd love to have AB 617 South Sacramento participate and share everything that we're doing in this community as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. Just a point of clarification, I thought we also talked about approving the $500. So now you maybe just vote, it's just really to say that we're gonna do that and to see what everybody votes for.
Yeah. We're gonna need to go through the different action items. So if we get a recommendation, a motion to vote to participate in the Dia de la Tierra event, then the steering committee will vote to approve that spending of that.
All right, so just to clarify, we need to vote first before we decide on the dollar amount, right? Even if simplistically mentioned.
So we're gonna make a motion on the dollar amount agreed to at the outreach steering committee. Did I get it right?
You just need to.
So I'll get to those in a moment. I'll clarify. The vote is to follow the outreach subcommittee recommendation of the participation at the $500 sponsorship level for the Dia de la Tierra event. But you can say that in whatever words make sense for you, but it is following the recommendation of the outreach steering committee. I think that I saw Richard and then Stephanie in terms of hands.
I'm just gonna make the motion to the recommendation of the service subcommittee for the donation, whatever we call it, for the Dia de la Tierra.
Thank you, Richard.
Stephanie Williams, I'd like to second the motion to move forward with the recommendation from the subcommittee for the Dia de la Tierra event.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yes, and let's ask for public comments regarding the Dia de la Tierra.
Let's have a discussion.
All right.
Apologies, I thought we were still in discussion, but I just had like a quick questions, I mean, not necessarily a recommendation, but I guess my question is, if we have already done this in the past, right? As far as the sponsorship, I understand well, I guess if we've already done this in the past and already moved past the perceived conflict of interest, then isn't it something, I guess, that at this point, as a steering committee, we should understand that there is no conflict of interest? Only just because of the comment that was actually on the slide, that the reason why we're voting again, I guess making sure that, I guess, moving forward, we're not continuing to say it's a conflict of interest if we've already moved past that it's not a conflict of interest and we've already supported it. That's just for the record.
No, that's a great clarification, because that was a sticking point for a lot of us for many years. And I think we discussed that and clarified that it was not, and it's relating to the Lunar New Year event that we just finished. So I think that we can all agree that it's not a conflict of interest, we're just moving forward from now on. For the most part.
I agree.
Do you want to open that?
Well, it is steering committee discussion.
Well,
500. So is it $500 and up, right? 501 and up. Oh, 501. Okay.
So just for a point of information, so there's a few factors here, in terms of discussion and potential vote. So certain things have to get brought up for a vote when there's a financial component of above $501. About $500. So this counts, like this needs to come to a vote because of the recommended sponsorship level of $500. But if there's not a recommended sponsorship level of $500 and you're just voting in participation, that doesn't have to vote.
Got it.
There's also the note about the historic perceived conflict of interest, which is really just a point of information since it's something that's been brought up before. I think that's just a note because it has been brought up, and so there's a desire to keep bringing it up. That way it's clear that that's been discussed, even though it is already confirmed. Does the district have anything to add in terms of the vote for this or the process?
We're checking if it's above 500 or if it's below 5, if that makes sense. Like.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back and check the charter real quick. Oh, okay. The purchasing guideline requires that any expenditures from the outreach budget over $500 be approved through a vote by the steering committee at a public steering committee meeting. So anything that is 501,
Need to vote.
you don't need it.
Okay, all right, there we go.
Man, I was looking forward to announcing the names again, but okay. And just a point.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, you all got a vote, go community.
Okay, all right. So, okay.
Okay, so just to finalize that, since it's 500 exactly and not above, does not need to be voted on, therefore we will move forward into our discussion items. So we're gonna skip through all these slides where we would go through the process. And I believe I'm gonna pass it to Janice, since I don't think Roberto's here yet. It looks like we do have a comment before I pass it to Janice. Yes, Vince.
Yes, it's me again, and this pertains to the outreach, the Lunar New Year Festival that we just attended 2 weeks ago. I just want to say it was an amazing event. The pride in the cultural event that was there, it was on display, and it was a wonderful event. We were so happy to be there. Tito came and welcomed us personally, and with some good luck for us all. And I just want to say that I took 80 plants for the Sac Tree Foundation to donate to people. They're all native pollinators, and people were coming up looking for plants because they're really cool plants. But Richard is a star. I just want you to know, and he goes in front of people a lot and does things. And so we left and go to get something to eat and came back. And I saw Richard do it maybe 3 or 4 times at least, where he had a crowd of people in front of his phone and he was showing them the air monitors, the purple air monitor app. And he was showing the other people the other app and he was saying, where do you live? And here's your zip code. And so the interaction with the community, I'm talking about air monitoring and looking at all the different information we had on the table, that's how it all connected. And what I keep saying is with the live feed is what draws people. Richard was a live feed at the event with his phone. And people were downloading the app. I don't know if we got any applications, but we had 3 or 4 people say they wanted to join our committee because they have health concerns surrounding air quality in their families. And so it's a touching, experience for me every time. And Richard was a celebrity out there. He had like 7 or 8, I took a picture, I think I sent it, 7 or 8 people, looking at his phone, and then and I saw them, they were downloading the app right there. But I also sent a picture, I was hoping we could put it up on a slide, or maybe I forgot to include that picture in my text or emails. But, it is the first time the steering committee had their own table, their own tablecloth, their own banner, their own easy up, and their own wagon at any event we've ever been to in the last 5 years. And Roberto's not here right now, but he bought the nicest wagon I've ever seen, dude. And so I just gotta tell you that we have a lot of nice things that we can table with now and look really good in the community when we go out there. Next is a storage unit, I think, because I don't know where we're gonna put it, but I have it in the United Latino storage unit right now. But I will get with the air district and the co-leads and figure out what we're gonna do with our equipment and how we can make it readily accessible to anybody and everybody. But I want to thank all the steering committee members, Lori, Richard, Valley Vision was there to support us. And so, and Tito came out to welcome us too. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Vince. If I can share a few words, man, I'm touched by your commitment every year, the last 5 years, whether it's with autumn or Lunar New Year. And we talk a lot about events and engagement, but when you're out there reaching out to the community and hearing them concerns and thoughts, that you really felt like we're not doing enough to be out there to hear their voices, their stories, how much of an impact we leave to the community. And everyone was giving out candies and red envelopes and go over to their booth. They were giving out plants and trees. And some people were looking for herbs. That was not provided there. But over 35,000 people there, you guys. You guys probably saw. We had the parade 2 days straight. We had car shows. We had Mardi Gras, one of the biggest events we had. I'm just really touched and proud to be a part of that. And so I really felt like this whole conflict of interest thing is like, if we're not involved, we cannot outreach, we cannot have credibility, we cannot have that engagement with the community. So I'm thankful for you guys to be out there. I did come back to see you guys, but we left a little early. I know it was a long day, but thank you, Richard. You really left an impression on the community, and I'm looking forward to do that. And let's carry that on to the next event as well, so thank you.
All right, I'm going to step in for Roberto, since he isn't here yet. So the SERV subcommittee meeting was on February 2nd. Many of you were there, so all this should be just a reminder. We made our first co-lead announcement for this year during that time. We shared the SERV document updates that you guys have received, where we talked about putting a summary of the strategies in the executive summary in response to your guys' discussion in January. So we went ahead and shared that with the SERV subcommittee, and it seemed to have been received well. We talked a little bit about the Clean Air Partnership Luncheon that Roberto and Morgan were able to represent the steering committee, and we co-presented to a large group of leaders in the Sacramento region about the work that we're doing here in South Sac. And we actually had steering committee members there as well, like Diogene was there as well, and Richard Lincoln, since that was where his office was. And then, we also shared some information about the SERP public workshop. Valley Vision had also provided a thought about, doing social media ads, which I think they did right before the public comment period closed. We talked a little bit about the Lunar New Year event, and, Suzanne Selbright Sutherland, I'm going to, if I didn't butcher your name, had shared a little bit about, her academic work, which she'll be sharing, tonight, I believe. So. Okay. And then so, for those who are interested, there are strategy code benefits in your packet that we are also putting into the document. Part of the discussion during the SERF subcommittee, I think Vincent was the one who brought this up, was we didn't list out the other benefits that these strategies have that may not be, direct emission benefits. They're indirect. They have other benefits of including them into the plan, including exposure reduction as well. And so please take a look at the table that we have, and that lists out all the co-benefits for each of the strategies. With that, I think that's all the updates that I have. I don't know if anybody who attended the SERP subcommittee had anything to add. Right.
Excuse me, sir. You have a major water leak. How do you? The water out of the pond.
For those virtually, we have a water leak in person, so, we're gonna resolve that promptly. With the next item, which is the draft SERP public comments received. Do we need to just give like a 2-minute? No. Okay.
Mark and David can.
Okay. There's a request for Air District staff to take on cleanup and, subcommittee members who are extremely helpful to focus their efforts on, the presentation that is about to take place. So, before we go over, well, I think we'll start, by going over some of the draft SERP public comments received. We'll give some grounding, talk about timeline, where we are now. And then before we dive into sort of the overview of the ones that need a response or need consideration by the steering committee, I'll step in and go over some process for how we're going to do that discussion. So I'll pass it to Janice to review that sort of timeline component, and the background info, and then I'll step back in a little bit.
All right, here is a timeline that we all worked on together, but here's a more granular table on the exact dates. So where we are right now is the February 23rd steering committee meeting. We had opened the public comments for 30 days, starting on January 16th through February 15th. And so tonight we're going to be talking about what comments did we receive, any themes that we've had, and then you all, steering committee members, should have received a packet from us last Friday on all of the public comments that we've received. Moving in, and so tonight we're going to be discussing responses, resolutions to public comments, and then moving into March, we have next week our SERP subcommittee meeting. And that meeting, we will again focus on any discussion that we might need for the public comments responses. And then we also do have a March 9 virtual meeting, SERP subcommittee meeting, scheduled just in case we need it. And you'll see why in just a second, just in case you all wanted to specifically talk about, comments. And then on March 16th, we have outreach subcommittee meeting, and then on March 23rd, which is next month's steering committee, is when the final CERP is brought to the steering committee for a final vote to recommend to move it to the Air District Board for approval. Okay. And then in April, and the reason why all these timelines are up front is because any discussions that we have, staff still needs time to make adjustments to the document to get it ready, right? So in April is when the district is posting the CERP for the district board approval. In May is when this CERP would be going to our board for consideration of approval. And then in June, we would be submitting this CERP to the state before the July deadline. Any questions?
Yes, it says district post CERP for public comments, district board approval. So we can receive more comments and possibly have more edits.
Yeah, so what happens is that this goes through our normal board process. So any item that goes before our air district boards get posted. And basically, folks are able to review it. They can provide public comments at the board meeting as well. So that's why it's gonna be posted.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, any more questions in terms of process and timeline? Richard?
Kind of piggybacking on what Vince asked. At the Air District Board approval, are members of the Air District Board able to change any of the things that are there if they are not in agreement with our direction?
They can.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? All right, do we want to go through this slide before you go through yours?
Yeah, just high level.
Okay, so I'm going to give a very broad overview of the comments that we've received. And then we'll go through a few comments that we've highlighted for you all, the Air District feels like we need guidance and discussion in order to move forward. Before we do that, wanted to let folks know that we got a total of 18 total submissions for public comments. 5 of them were received during the public virtual workshop that we had. We had 4 emailed letters from 4 emailed letters and 9 individual emails providing public comments, with a total of 86 total comments. Next slide, please. So this is a very, very high level of the summary of the types of comments that we received. In general, we did receive general support for the plan, except for 1 comment. There was questions about funding. There was requests for strategy changes and or updates. We also had comments provided by local jurisdictions to align with existing or their planned efforts. The timing of that, and then also clarifying questions in some of the technical chapters. This is a very terrible projection of what is on the PowerPoint. So I will ask you guys to refer to the printout, because in the arrows, it actually says yes or no. So the down arrows say no, the right arrows is yes. It's basically a flow chart, and it is to help guide us in terms of, how to do public comment response. And the first, box we have is, does the comment require clarification or action? And if it's no, because it could be, we support your plan. Then you can basically say, thank you for your comment. If the comment does require clarification or action, we look at, if it's a yes, then we evaluate our updates needed to the SERP, needed to address the issue. And so if no updates is needed, because somebody had a question about a specific process, then we respond to the comment, like to the public. But if it does need to have updates in the SERP, then on the right, it says yes, then the steering committee and the district discusses the updates and respond. And then once we all determine what, the response would be, then the district will update the plan to reflect that. Are there any questions regarding that? And I think, Britta is going to go through how we're going to structure the conversation tonight. So before you launch into that, Britta, I think it's important for us to understand why there are, what is it, like 10? 11 of the next slides we're bringing forward to you all tonight. It isn't that all the comments that we receive are important comments. These specific ones, we believe we want, that we need steering committee discussion on, to highlight, to bring to your attention. However, if there are other comments that you see, that we would like to address and bring up, feel free to do that. And we're either going to, if we have time tonight, we'll do it tonight. If not, then we can do it, at the next SERP subcommittee meeting. Okay? So these are the ones that we're starting with tonight that we need to come to resolution on. Or not resolution, we need to start the discussion on.
Okay, so now's the part where I'm gonna jump back in and go over like what this process looks like. So as you heard from Janice, we have 11 that the district has identified that requires steering committee discussion that will then determine, okay, we're discussing here, are we following a district recommendation? Are we going to send it to the SERP subcommittee, or does it not need any action? So out of the 11, and this for the steering committee members that are here in person, we have this really helpful sort of high level guide that's in your packet. This has the 11 different ones, the 11 different comments that are in 7 different categories. And while you're digging around in your materials, I'm also going to ask that you grab your consensus placards. So those are the green, yellow, and red different shaped placards that we will hold up to identify how we're feeling. For the people who are online, because there's a lot of you, we had to pivot and talk about this since we weren't expecting so many people to be online. And you are going to write the color in the chat. You're gonna write green means follow staff recommendation. Yellow, and this is for everyone, yellow means we need to discuss as a steering committee. Red means it's a priority that we discuss this. So there are going to be some that we go over where the district recommendation is to discuss, so we already know that. Those are already gonna be discussed. But what we really wanna know, so for those ones where the district recommendation is to discuss, we're not gonna hold up the placards, we just know we're gonna discuss it. And for the other ones, green, as a reminder, means we're following the staff recommendation. Janice will go over that one by one. Yellow means we're discussing, and red is priority discussion. So we're gonna go through these 11 just to get the placards, just to get a temp check, right? I'm gonna write them down so we know which ones we have to come back to. And then once we have our list of the ones that require further discussion or priority discussion, then we'll divide our time and we'll talk through those. Now, with 11 that we have that we know that we want to cover today in addition to others that you may bring up, we might not get through all of these. And if we're talking about one that's been prioritized and it doesn't seem like we're getting to a resolution, which we don't have to get to a resolution in this space, we might just move to put it in discussion in the SERB subcommittee. We do want to talk about the ones that require most discussion in this space, since it is our public forum, that's recorded, that's online for people to go back and reference. But as we're going through, we can decide, no, we want to talk about this more in SERB subcommittee, or I might move us to that point if it's taking up so much time that we can't talk about other things. So, once again, the process for how this is gonna work, Janice is going to go through the 11 that have been sort of summarized slide by slide. She'll give an overview of that slide. We'll then use our placards to vote whether we green, follow recommendation and don't discuss further, yellow, discuss further, or red, priority discussion. I'll note that down. We'll move through all of them and then we'll have deeper discussions. So, in addition to that, if you have clarifying questions as we're going, we want to hear those. So please raise your hand online or use your placard to let us know. And during this initial sort of presentation where we're doing our placards, I ask that we hold public comment until we get to discussion, because when we have discussion, we will be doing steering committee and public. It'll be steering committee first, then public, but there will be an opportunity there, so I don't want you to think, you know, you don't have a space to say what is on your mind. We will get there. I will go over the colors again as we're going, so if you need a reminder, that'll be there. Before Janice starts going through these, you know, high level one by one, before we dive in deeper, are there questions on the process? I can't see if there's any hands raised online, so I just want to check. No, no hands raised online. Okay, so we are going to then start by going through the first one. And just as a reminder, these ones that we're going through today, it's because we're at that point on that flow chart where steering committee and district discuss and determine whether updates need to be made, whether they don't need to be made, whether they need to be addressed during implementation, or whatever other action by the steering committee. Vince, are you just ready to go? Okay, Vince had a yellow placard up, but he's ready to go, doesn't need further discussion this time. Okay, Janice, I think we're ready to dive in if we don't have any questions online.
All right, so, steering committee members, if you recall, we did receive a packet of all of the public comments that were received. And as I'm going through each of these PowerPoint slides, I'm gonna be referring to the page number of the specific comment. So the first comment that we received, that we have up on here is submission number 18. It is on page 36 of your public comment document. And this was received after the comment period, but it was received from Herman Barjona from Sacramento EJC. So, again, we highlighted areas for the steering committee to pay attention to. And the question is regarding the funding that is allocated to planting trees, and whether or not it would help pollution emissions effectively in South Sacramento. And then there's, you know, there's a whole comment, I'm not gonna read it to all of you. We requested that you guys do that before this meeting. But the second part of that question is asking the AQMD board and officials to go back to the drawing board and have a community input process that's not a rubber stamp for business as usual. So our comment, our recommendation is that we discuss this particular comment tonight. And so it's already marked green on that. Right.
Yes, and I stand corrected earlier when I said we will not vote at all. What we want to know for this one, since it's already green, we want to know whether it's just standard yellow or whether it's priority, which is red. So even though it's already green because it's already been noted for discussion, we still want to know where is it in your priority. So we will be doing this for the first time. If steering committee members could raise their consensus cards and I will count them. I'm going to verbally say what I see. I need everyone to hold it up at once in person. That way I can count and then we can tell the online people. So we have 6 yellow in person. 6 yellow in person, and then if you're online, if you could please write yellow or red in the chat. Once again, yellow just means discuss, and red means priority. So if it's a priority for you to discuss this, please let us know. Okay, I'm seeing 1 yellow in the chat, 2 yellow, 3, and then 1 red. Oh, and the red is from a community member. Okay, and then another yellow. So we have 6 in person plus 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 10 in person yellow and 1 red, which was, I'm writing P for public. Okay, thank you.
All right, the next one. And I actually have our program manager here from our transportation and climate change division, who's going to also be helping me going through these comments as well, since that is his expertise on most of these. Next slide, please. All right, so the next one is submission number 15. This is on page 24. It was received by the city of Sacramento and the county of Sacramento in terms of a theme. And that it was basically to request that 50% tree canopy be adjusted to be a more realistic goal. There is a recommendation from staff to revise that particular strategy. And we can talk a little bit about that. We think that there needs to be some clarification around that 50% in terms of, I think, how it might be interpreted.
Okay, so for this one, once again, we invite any clarifying questions, but not discussion yet. So this one, green means follow the staff recommendation, just point blank period, no further discussion. Yellow means discussion, and red is if you're highly concerned and you really want to discuss it. So I'll give you a moment to think, and then I invite steering committee members to put your colors in the chat or raise up your placards. And once again, this activity is for the steering committee. Once we have our prioritized discussion, we will invite everyone, public and steering committee. So steering committee members, green means follow district rec, yellow means discuss, red is priority. If everyone could please hold up your placard and then keep it up for me to count. I will count and then repeat for those online to know. Okay, so I'm seeing 4 yellow, 2 green. And then online, seeing 1 green, 1 yellow, 2 yellow, thank you. So plus 2 yellow, and it was, oh, there's another green, 2 green. So we have 4 total green and 6 total yellow. We're gonna keep moving, and we'll discuss what this means at the end.
All right, the next one on the second part of this slide is submission number 11, received from a couple of public members. They are listed on page 6 to 7, and then also on page 7. And the idea is suggesting strategically planting trees near high traffic corridors, schools, and transit stops. So thinking about like where we're planting the trees. Staff recommendation is that there is no change that's needed, because that could also be determined during implementation. So it's coming forth in the next iteration of this plan.
You need, wanna say something?
No.
Okay, so now we're going to use our consensus placards for this one. So green means following staff recommendation, assess during implementation, yellow discuss further, red really need to discuss. In person, I see 6 green. And then online, I can't read, the number. Okay, thank you. Now I can see. We have 3 green online. So I think we're still missing. We might still be missing one.
How many steering committee members are responding?
Terry hasn't responded yet.
Okay, well then we're gonna call it, that way we can move forward.
That was the last
Okay, so now we have 4, so we have 10 total. Okay, great, thank you. Janice, go ahead.
All right,
We have 5 responding online or 4?
We have 8 members online.
Some may not be participating.
Yeah. Roberto just joined.
Okay.
Roberto just joined. That's also what we heard. All right, Roberto.
So, I counted that last one that just came in, so we have a total of 11 green.
All right, the next one is going to be about safe and resilient streets under quick builds, which is 4A, and 4B, which is standards. And this was received by the city of Sacramento, page 16 in the document that you received on Friday. And we are recommending revising 4A and 4B. But I'd like for Paul to maybe give a little bit of why before you guys take a vote.
Maybe you want to sit over here or there?
Yeah. Hi, Paul Philly, Program Manager, Vision Climate Change. The measure started as 1 and then Ann said, we should do something a bit more sooner and have the quick builds. And we wrote a new measure, but we carried too much of the old measure. And so the city said we really ought to design the measure. So 1 is about quick builds and getting infrastructure on the ground right away. And 1 to be more long-term looking at our street standards and design. So basically 1's a now and 1's a tomorrow. So it makes sense, at least to staff, to redraft the measures. So all of the near-term stuff go into that measure, and then all the long-term stuff go under another measure.
Thank you, Paul. And if you want to know what that looks like, we actually have a draft of that provided in your packets. We've updated both of the strategies to reflect what Paul had just talked about. And it's one side is standards, the other side is quick builds.
All right, so while folks are reviewing that, I'll just go over what our different categories are here again. So green would be to follow the staff recommendation to revise the measures to be separate between near term and long term per the recommendation from the comment. Yellow means you might want something different because you want to discuss this further. And red means you really want to discuss this because something is up. So if people can put their votes in the chat, please, and in-person steering committee members can raise up their colored placards for me to count. I will count in person first and then online. Okay, I'm seeing 5 green, 1 yellow. And then online, we have 2 green. I'm gonna give it a moment because I know we have a few more people online. You're not required to vote, but you have been, so 4 green online. Just give it one more moment. Please get those votes in. Okay, last one. So we have 5 green online. So we have 10 green, 1 yellow. Janice, take it away.
All right, the next one is about increasing public ridership on the public transportation. This was submitted as part of a letter from ECOS on page 34 and 35 of your packet. And the summary of this particular measure, in that letter was a suggestion to reduce the number of stops on a bus line. And, I'm gonna pass it over to Paul to talk about a little bit about that, about our response, and our recommendation.
Sure. So that's a lot goes into transit planning. And stop spacing, the more you have, the slower the bus goes, but also the more access you get. So you may have somebody who has trouble walking, or that may be a place people wanna go. And so it's a big debate, and it felt a little too big for us and as air quality folks to weigh in, but SAC-RT is going through a major comprehensive analysis called SAC-RT 2050, where they're looking at the short range plan and their long range plan. And that felt like the most appropriate forum to have those route by route discussions. And so we'd encourage the commenter to work through that process. And if the steering committee has interest in being part of that process, we could help facilitate that, but it didn't feel appropriate to say, hey, do you want me to pull out the stops?
So our recommendation here is, no change to this particular strategy, but do provide a response to, the public member.
I see my steering committee members getting ready with their voting placards. It looks like we have all those in person. So we have 4 green in person, we have 1 yellow, and we have 1 red. And online, it looks like we have 3 greens so far. I'm gonna give it a moment. Is this UM8? Yes, this is UM8 submission number 17, number 1. We haven't gotten to 17, number 2 yet. And then we see 2 more greens. So 3, 4, 5 greens. And I'm just gonna give it a moment to see if Roberto has a thought based off of it being UM8 number 1. Maybe yellow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 greens online, 1 yellow. So we have 9 greens, 2 yellows, 1 red. Janice?
Okay, and then the next one we have is submission number 17, also received from ECOS on page 34 and 35 of your packet. And in general, the idea is to invest in more robust shade structures, for bus stops, things like JAG transit stops, that may be fiscally and operationally, responsible solution. Our recommendation is no change, to the particular strategy, because that can already be implemented in the safe and resilient street standards in 4A and UM4B.
Okay, steering committee, if you could get your placards ready. Once again, since the green would mean follow the recommendation of no change needed. Yellow would be discussed further, and red is letting us know that it's really priority for discussion. Okay, I am seeing 4 greens in person and 2 yellows. Online, it looks like we have 3 greens so far, 4. Okay, 5 greens, 1 yellow.
All right.
So
Next.
9 total greens and 3 total yellows. Sorry, Janice.
No, great, thank you. Then we have the next one, is about our industrial warehouse use zoning, truck route study, community input on truck routes. Both of these comments on this page, came from the city of Sacramento. The first one I'm gonna talk about is on submission number 15, that's on page 17. And the comment is suggesting updating the timelines to align with the city of Sacramento's AB 98 implementation timeline. And they are encouraging the CSE to prioritize funding to implement AB 98. And our recommendation here is to revise the strategy UM9A as well as UM10 to reflect that. If you look at the summary page that you have, we have a little bit more information. So it's adjusting timeline for AB 98 consistent with the city of Sac, city county timelines, consolidate that. And then I'm going to continue to talk on the next one because it's relevant. The next comment is submission number 15, received from the city of Sacramento, page 17. They wanted to consolidate UM9A and UM10 to focus on AB 98, including community input on truck routes as part of AB 98 implementation for 9A. This one's a little bit more complicated, so I think, Paul, maybe you could give a little bit more context to it.
So there was a state law that said that truck routes and warehouse rules and regulations all have to be holistically looked at. All three of our jurisdictions are going through this process. And it does have statutory timelines which are sooner than when we prioritized it. So if the steering committee wants to be a part of that discussion, we would need to align with those timelines. A second piece, and do you want me to talk about the appropriations? Okay. Is if we wanted to enhance some of the truck studies, that would be part of that input process, because there's sort of what the state requires, and then we might want to do a little bit more. We would need to have some of the year one funding likely to be put into a truck study to have that sooner rather than in later years. So the information can then be put into it. Janice and I will work to make sure that we're not just paying for something that the jurisdictions were already going to do. It would be an enhancement or additional intersection. So I do have maps of where all y'all about a year ago said where you were concerned. We could check to see if the truck studies are there. Sorry, that's the discussion I need to stop. But yes, we need to have a discussion about that since it's moving money.
And so the money that this would come out of would be the incentive pot. So that is part of something that the CARB implementation, incentive guidelines allow to do. So remember how we had the trees and we have safe resilient streets, EV infrastructure, whatever, if we do prioritize that, that funding needs to be reallocated. So it'd be like, all right, take $100,000 from this measure and put it in this measure.
I will say that we don't it is up to you completely. We can be a part of these discussions by adjusting timelines, but not fund a truck study and just use the base one. We can enhance the truck study, so that's sort of a discussion for all y'all.
Okay, so before we move into the consensus cards on this one, even though these are intertied, we are gonna look at them separately. So, and I wanna remind folks that the second one, which is UM9A, 9B, 10, submission 15, number 2, that one has already been recommended for discussion. And if we think about how we've prioritized so far, so this will be this number 2 will be the second one that we already know are gonna have to discuss as a steering committee. So this is where you can be really intentional for number 2, not number 1, about where you use how you use your placards. So when we get to number 2, I'll dive more into that. Let's start with number 1, which, as a reminder, you can do green, follow the recommendation, which is to revise them. You would do yellow, we need to discuss this further. Red, you want to prioritize this for discussion. We don't have a ton of time tonight. We could start tonight, it can flow into SERB subcommittee, but how do you want to prioritize this? So for the first one, how are we going to vote? Please show your placards.
The first one is to update the timeline, correct?
Yes. Okay, so in person, we have 5 yellow and we have 1 red. And online, we have, they're coming in. We have four yellow and one red. Yes,
All right, I'm gonna keep going while you add, because we're running out of time.
yeah, we have another yellow.
Okay. All right, so the next one is about reducing idling at schools and sensitive receptors.
Sorry, Janice, we still have to do the second one.
Oh, that's right, sorry.
Yeah, so we received 10 yellows, 2 reds, and now the second one. We know this is discussion, but this is where the first one where we had discussion, we had 10 yellows and 1 red, which was the tree canopy number one, which was the SAC EJC comment. So if you want to prioritize this one over that one for discussion, you would use a red. If you don't care about prioritizing this one for discussion over the first one, just use a yellow. Use your discretion, use your vote as your voice. Okay. Steering committee, how are we voting for this one? I'm trying to move us through more quickly. We have more to get through. Okay, 5 yellow, 1 red. Online,
All right, I'm gonna move on
4
while you
yellow.
count those,
Yes.
okay? All right, the next one is going to be about UM6, reducing idling at schools and sensitive receptor strategy. This was submission number 17, received by ECOS, page 34. And this comment was to encourage an action item that involves working with schools to ensure that there are security monitoring resources dedicated to anti-idling policy enforcement. Staff's recommendation is no change, provide a response, and there is a reason for that, and maybe Paul, you want to go into that.
So it's not illegal to idle your car, when it's a light duty vehicle. And so this is a voluntary measure, so enforcement didn't make sense for us.
All right, steering committee votes. I'm seeing 4 green so far, waiting for the other 2 in-person steering committee members.
The recommendation is no change, but provide a response to the comment. Which is basically that idling light duty vehicle is legal
And voluntary.
and voluntary. Anti-idling in school is, voluntary outreach and an educational program.
Okay, 4 green, 2 yellow in person. I'll count those online votes so far, seeing 4 green, 1 red, and Janice can keep moving.
All right, the next one is something that we have talked about before too. So this is not a new topic. Submission number 3 received from Jesse Reeds on page 2 of your packet. And this is about drive-throughs. That, you see a lot of vehicles just sitting there and idling. This is probably hard to control, but something to talk about. Specifically for this strategy, our recommendation is no change, but to provide a response. And Paul, please provide more context to this.
Sure, so drive-throughs are approved by local jurisdictions due to land use actions. And the Sac Metro Air District has a Sequin land use section which provides comments and best practices on the placement and non-placement of drive-through facilities to reduce exposure to sensitive receptors. So it feels like we already have, as best we can do, given where the authorities particularly lie. But there isn't a way for us to stop people from idling in a Taco Bell, as an example. But we can make sure that if new drive-throughs go in, we don't. Hopefully, the jurisdictions will be more thoughtful about placements and design and approvals.
It's the in and out of Chick-fil-A.
And Dutch Brothers.
They can get more trees.
That is the best practice.
All right, steering committee votes on this, please. Green means follow the district recommendation, yellow further discussion, red priority. Seeing at least 4 green in person, 2 yellow, and I will count those online votes. Janice, go ahead and do the last one.
All right, the last one we got was about residential lawn and garden. It's submission number 10, received from Joey Wraithwall on page 6. And the comment is disappointed not to see the CERC seek out to phase out gas-powered lawn equipment, especially leaf blowers at all. So that's submission number 10. Our recommendation is no change to that particular strategy because there is existing regulation under California AB 1346 that phases out the sale of new gas-powered small off-road engines, including leaf blowers by 2024. By 2024.
All right, steering committee votes. Green means follow recommendation, no change. Yellow, discuss further. Red, prioritize in discussion. I'm seeing, sorry, can you hold those up for just a moment longer, please? Okay, 4 green and 2 yellow in person. Okay, and then online, it looks like we have 3 green. Y'all could get those votes in. All right, we're calling it at 3 green. Okay, now's the fun part where we have all these numbers for prioritization. So I'm gonna talk through my thinking and then I invite the co-leads to chime in and tell me if you think differently since y'all are the co-leads. So looking at the numbers we have for everything, we already know that UM3 submission 18, UM9 AB 10, submission 15, number 2, those both already require steering committee discussion. Beyond those that have already been identified, the numbers with the highest amount of yellows for discussion are also UM3 sub 18, UM9AB 10 sub 15, and UM9AB 10 sub 15, number 2. So UM9AB 10 submission 15, not only does it have 10 yellows, but it also has 2 reds, which marks this as the highest for discussion. So according to my list, we have UM9AB 10, submission 15, number 1. And then following that, in terms of priority, the only ones that have red for priority discussion, in terms of yeses, so we're looking at the ones that have less yeses and more following. I think we'll start off with UM9 AB 10 sub 15, number 1, because it's 7:36 and we only have 15 minutes before this item's done. So we'll start with that one, we'll see where we go, and then we'll revisit this prioritization list.
All right, so since this was prioritized by the steering committee, maybe you guys can share a little bit about the concerns, maybe some potential solutions, maybe what questions you might have that we might be able to talk about. So Vincent, you have your hand up.
Yes, I was looking at this one earlier today. And I lost the page right now, but it was referring to the adjustments to the city plan of 2026 to 2029 or something like that in the writing. And give me a minute, I'll get there. It is on page
17.
13, thank you. As far as the funding a study, at first I thought maybe, yeah, they just want us to help out with the bills and stuff and of getting their own work done. And so that's the response initially, but in looking at what we set aside, so if we were to say we wanted to make that a priority and reallocate funds for that, it moves up in the SERP strategy chart that we have on page 37, basically.
It would.
Is that what would happen? And so in doing that, and so I've said it already, I mean, we have commercial vehicle replacement of $48,000. That's only a quarter of a truck, just to remind everybody. So I don't know how we would invest in a quarter of one commercial truck to get emissions reductions, although it showed the biggest part of emissions reductions in our chart. And some of these comments did refer to our charts and the co-benefits, and so I appreciate the co-benefits, but So maybe allocating some of that money that is only for a quarter of a truck. And I'm gonna tell you, truck routes are what we talked about for a couple of years here, or I brought it up several times. It came up at our, when we were in the strategy, urban planning strategy room over there, and so, most people that I spoke to in the Power Inn Road area complain about the truck routes going through that area. And so, and those are the comments that I received when talking about this stuff in the community. It's the truck routes that go through South Sacramento that are heavily used. And so, I'm for reallocating a quarter of a commercial truck into a strategy study. And so it looks like, I don't know, that's a kind of a change, but it just, I just wanted to voice my opinion on, after I read this stuff earlier today, so I kind of just going over it right now, but, it's interesting, some of the comments that came from the city, and this one at first struck me a little differently on the funding part, but understanding we do have, if it's going to change it in its position in the strategy, which this is one of the strategies I really wanted, so if, I know it's just a study, but still, it's what needs to be done to get the truck routes changed in our community, so, yeah. Did you guys report that? Thank you.
Thank you, Vincent. Okay, I did not see the order of these that went up, so yeah, I'm relying on the hands here. Okay, Richard, I'm seeing hands pointed to you for being next. Thank you, steering committee members, for letting me know what's up.
Briefly on, and I do want to echo, what Vincent said, that, you know, when talking about these truck routes. And I remember in some of these meetings, hearing community members who've been in public talk about whether it's Power Inn, whether it's Meadowview, these kind of places like this, where we see a lot of these traffics in there, and they want something done about it. They want to be involved more in the process and what's happening then. So I definitely encourage more opportunities for the public to be able to comment on those things and be part of the discussion as to what the strategies would be. In regard to AB 98, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm ignorant on what AB 98 really all is. So I got concerns there, because I'm gonna tell you, and this, I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot here. As a previous city employee, as someone who has worked behind, I mean, in front of the dais, offering comment to our council members and the city of Sacramento, I don't know if they're gonna make their timeline. I don't know if they're even gonna be able to implement what they say they're gonna implement, because many times they don't. So I would really like to find out more about AB 98. Case in point, for example, the urban tree plan has taken years for them, and repeatedly having to be redone and redone and re-timeline. I just want to make sure we're not putting something on hold here. So I need to do more homework on AB 98 and what that would be. And I recommend for the steering committee, if you don't know, or if you do, educate me. If anyone wants to educate me on AB 98, please do. But waiting for the city, I don't know.
Thank you for that. Between Stephanie and Morgan, I'm not sure. Morgan, go ahead.
Somebody hand her the,
Thank you. So to confirm what you were saying, your recommendation based on the fact that the votes that we all did, that got us to 48K, we're really talking about shifting what the actual intention of it was. As far as like, instead of it being the vehicle replacement, it going towards something different to track information. I agree with that. And then I guess also piggyback on what Richard said, I didn't find out what AB 98 is. So yeah, I can't really, I can't speak too much to those two recommendations specifically without doing a little bit more research.
Go ahead.
Okay, Paul, I'm gonna bring you a mic.
Well, I want her to speak first.
Were you gonna explain AB 98?
Do you want me to explain anything?
Yes.
Okay. Briefly, AB 98 is sort of I'm looking over at you because you also work on this. Is sort of an omnibus warehouse bill. Lots of really big, think like Amazon fulfillment centers and stuff in the Inland Empire causing all kinds of problems. As part of that, you have to develop new standards so that your warehouses have things like truck charging and efficiencies and low carbon and other parts to deal with the trucks of the future, loading docks that are sealed and those sorts of things. It also requires you to think a bit about your transportation elements, not always, but to rethink the way you've got trucks moving through your neighborhoods. It has to be done, I want to say in 2 years, is the current timeline 27? It's.
So there is actually, sorry, this is Carrie Whitlock with the city of Elk Grove. There is a legal requirement that AB 98, anything that the cities do, needs to be adopted by January 1st, 2028. And with that, there are actually fines. The state does not often put fines on not being compliant with legislation, but for this one, there is a $50,000 fine for every 6 months you are late with getting compliant with this legislation. So there is a specific timeline and cities are very much disinclined to miss that timeline. It's about warehousing as Paul was talking about, but for those of us outside what they are termed warehouse concentration areas, which is mostly the Central Valley, San Bernardino County, they have a list of counties. Sacramento County is not a warehouse concentration area. So what we have to look at is primarily around truck routing. And how are we making sure that we are doing clear signage, that we have clear maps with our truck routing, and that those are not in residential areas or through sensitive receptors and those sorts of things.
Right, and as part of that, they have studies and other stuff. So the recommendation from the local jurisdiction, I believe the city in this case, was they'd like you to be part of that process. And perhaps we could also kick in a bit of money to enhance the studies that are going to need to be done here. To give you a sense of scale, it's about $3,500 to $5,000 to study an intersection. So there were key roads that were mentioned last year when we were talking about that. We could see what the jurisdictions are planning and then perhaps enhance those pieces as well. So those are separate questions though. Whether or not we change the CERP plan is sort of question one, and then question two is, if we do change the CERP plan, do you want to put any incentive money into that as well?
And the reason why we're recommending that we revise it is to make sure that the steering committee has a voice and is included as part of this process. Because as you all know, once things are done and they're already submitted, that's gonna be a lot more difficult. So that is our suggestion to align with their timelines.
Stephanie?
So I am definitely in favor of revising it because I do think that we need to have a voice in that, as you said, and as we've heard. I think that's very important. I'm still a little bit unclear of how reallocating those dollars would benefit that overall. So I think I still would need a little bit more clarification. I appreciate the high level, but I do think it takes a little bit more to help me move forward with reallocating the dollars. But absolutely, we do need to revise that so that we can have a voice. If the dollars don't move the study in a direction or impacted in a way that is going to be most beneficial for our communities, then I would hope that we would take those dollars and put it into something else. So those dollars have to be reallocated either way. But once we get clarification on a little bit more clarification on the AB 98, then I would want to make a decision on how we allocate the dollars. But again, yes, let's move forward with, changing this so that we can be a part of the discussion.
Okay. Okay, so in terms of time, it's 7:49. We only have 1 more minute allotted to this entire discussion, which we're gonna need to think about. But after hearing some thoughts, I want to use our consensus placards again, so that we can figure out how to move this item forward. So after hearing more information, your thoughts may have evolved. If you want to just move forward and revise them per the district recommendation, give a green. And if you want to talk about this in the SERP subcommittee, give a yellow. I propose we don't need to use the red right now unless you're feeling really crazy about it. You can use the red.
We doing two separate or we doing them both? Cause it's 2 points.
Yes, you're right. It's 2 points. So we have this whole time, we've been talking about both going back and forth a little bit, but this is just for submission 15, number 1. Which is the updating of the timelines.
Update the timeline.
So update the timelines if you think it's good to revise as the district recommended and it doesn't need further discussion. Go ahead and give that a green. If you could all just keep them held up so that we can count people are thinking about this. Okay, 9, number 1, so it sounds like in person, we have 5 yellow. And we have 1 green. And then online,
I'm sorry.
yes,
Clarity. So.
clarity. Okay, someone, yeah, we're passing more into mic.
You said update the timeline and it doesn't require further discussion. However, I guess based on what I heard from Janice was we further discuss to revise it.
So, if we wanna change the timeline, then it would be a green, right? Like just to align with like having this discussion with the local jurisdictions. Okay, so just having that discussion and that work. Number 2 is if you want to allocate funding to look at additional potential intersections that we've discussed about
Within our ABC.
within our AB 617.
So, and I'm sorry, just so for clarity. Moving forward with green would be saying, yes, we wanna update the timeline. Which still includes
Discussion
discussion.
with local jurisdiction, but not discussion at SERP subcommittee, unless that's where they're invited to. Sorry, that's not clear.
We will have further discussions about
If-
whether or not we wanna allocate funding, so that's what I see.
Okay, okay.
But if you're not, changing the timelines, then we may not just be a part of that discussion with the local jurisdictions.
No.
I mean, that's,
We have to
There-
change the timeline.
Yes.
We have to change the timeline to be able to give voice to what's happening with AB 89. We've all said that here that we want to have a voice in that. So that's
Yeah.
the yes, right? That's the green. Okay. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we want to be a part of that discussion, it's a green. We want to move the timeline so that we can be a part of the discussion. That's 1 point. The second point is if and how we allocate dollars. And that's where we want to have additional conversation about. So it sounds like 1 would be green. The first question would be green. The second question would be either a yellow or a red.
Yes, thank you for outlining that. So now, first question. Moving the timelines, we're doing a revote because some of y'all changed your minds. Okay. If you could just hold it up, please.
This is just to say, change the timeline, that's it.
Just change the timeline. This is just for changing timelines. Okay, 5 green
Mr. Richard.
and 1 yellow in person. Online, all, are some of those new, yeah, they're all green. Okay.
You're right.
Second part.
Okay.
Okay, green. Part 2. Part 2, yellow is discussion.
It needs discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, we're gonna,
or, okay,
We'll just-
it's getting discussed.
fantastic.
All right.
We'll bring some info.
Now we get a report.
Okay, so we are a little bit over on this one. I just want to provide an overview of our sort of like what we need to circle back to here. Yes. The first. Preference.
Yes.
Okay, so before we move forward, we will do public comment on discussion for truck routes. A recap of what we heard from the steering committee, was that people would like more opportunities to comment on strategies regarding truck routes. And then we also heard people want to find out more about AB 98. We found out more, people still want more. And then there was a discussion about allocating funds to tracking info rather than vehicle replacement. Any public comments? None. Okay, thank you. Okay, so what we have left that we said we would talk about that we do not have time for today is UM3 sub 18, submission 18, which is the first one in your packets, which was the comment about sort of going back to the drawing board. So that will be discussed in SERP subcommittee. And then the following ones that had the highest number of votes was UM3 submission 15, which is the second one in your packet, which is about the 50% tree canopy being adjusted. So that will also be discussed. And if the co-leads want to look at this prioritization and change things to prioritize discussion, they can do so as well. I know that we had a lot to cover in this space. We only got through a little bit, but I think having the prioritization is hopefully more helpful for future discussion. Any final wrap up on this item before we move to our new business and upcoming meeting topics?
Yeah, so clearly there's a bunch of stuff we need to talk about, right, before March and decisions that need to be made. So I am encouraging and anybody and everybody who wants to have input on this particular response to attend the SERP subcommittee meeting next Monday. And my guess is that we're not gonna finish and we're likely going to have to go to March 9th to further have discussion. So want to just put that out there that we are likely going to need both and we need to have a swift discussion on decision making. Okay.
And it's still going to be with you for new business and upcoming meeting topics.
Go ahead, Vincent.
Thank you. I just want to remind everybody, we have a community member here who wants to speak to us, and so we gotta be, remember when we have people that show up here, we gotta give them time to speak and not rush, like 2 minutes here, go.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thank.
Janice, do you want to go over these?
These are the next upcoming steering committee meetings, so please take note of that. And then again, March is when we're taking the vote for approving the final SERP in March 23rd.
Thank you. Next slide. Okay, now we are here at public comments. I am going to first invite our public commenter who's presenting on her research. And then we will invite other public commenters to share what they have to say. I will bring her the mic.
Thank you, and I bet I can get this done in a minute, because I'm today. I'm Suzanne Sifright Sutherland. I'm a doctoral candidate in the School of Public Administration at Cal Baptist University. And I'm doing research on learning within multi-sectoral groups. And this is specific to the AB 617 CSC groups throughout the state. The research is a qualitative descriptive analysis. So I'm asking CSC members to share their account. And I'm looking at it with a reflexive learning lens. That's my theoretical framework. And my goal in getting this research done is for practitioners, policymakers, public administrators, and as well as other CSCs to receive accurate and practical information based on your experience here within the CSC. So I'm inviting the CSC members to consider contributing to this research by participating in a single, it's just one 30-minute interview. Unless you want to talk more, and I'm happy to. Like this, I have to keep notes to keep me focused. I'm so excited to be here. But in any case, you know, the interview, I mean, it's about your experience, your perceptions here in this space. So I thank you for your time, your consideration. Many of you, if not all of you, have full-time jobs, you have families, you still make time to be here. I'm just honored to be here with you all today. I brought consent forms about the research. It has additional detail about what I'm doing, just my oversight at the university, if you have interest, as well as contact information there beyond me. And I'll be here after the meeting closes if you have any questions about my background, why I'm doing this, or if you just want to talk more. I mean, this is really exciting work, and I just thank you again for all your time and passion that brought you, all of you here. It is very moving. Okay, I'm gonna pass this off, and thank you.
Thank you. And for people who are online, do we have permission from you to share your contact info out through the area district for our online steering committee members?
I would be grateful for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other public commenters in person? Just attendees, great. Thank you for your participation. Any public commenters online? Okay, not seeing any public comments online, then we can go and move into our last item, which is adjourn. And I will open it to Tito to do his first adjourning as co-lead.
Thank you, Breda. Appreciate you guys. This is passionate, a lot of conversations to be had. I know it's hard because we spent a lot of time getting this established, and now we gotta pivot a little bit, but that's really the check and balance of it all. So I'm hoping the next meeting, read up on AB 98. I think it's on all, let's read up on that. Hopefully we'll call out a little bit. So when I say South Side Flooring, you guys clap, and then, I'm sorry. All right, meeting adjourned 8:01, and then.
Southside Clean Air.
Southside Clean Air? Whatever you want?
Southside Clean Air.
We're going better next time.
That's trucks.
Thank you, everyone. Get home safe.
Good job, good job, good job.